All Lutosławski's schooling was here in Warsaw. He attended Warsaw University and he got 2 degrees from the conservatory. Like most Poles, he probably would have studied in the West. He had his sights set on Paris and on the famous teacher Nadia Boulanger. But this was about 1939 when Adolf Hitler had other plans for this part of the world. After he graduated from the Warsaw Conservatory, Lutosławski did his mandatory training with the Polish Army. When Germany invaded Poland in September 1939, he was mobilized with his army radio unit at Kraków. Behind me is the river Vistula that runs right through Warsaw, separating the eastern districts of the city from the historic center. Behind me we can see the old town with its red tile roofs and its steeples. At some point in the late fall of 1939, Lutosławski would have found himself making his way across this river back home to central Warsaw. The war had begun. His unit had been captured by the German army fairly quickly. He had escaped fairly quickly also, and then traveled by night over 400 kilometers from eastern Poland back to home in Warsaw. During the German occupation of Warsaw, 1939 to 1945, they banned almost all normal musical life. So music left the concert halls and went underground and into places like these, into coffee houses, which were gathering spots for actors, artists, intellectuals, writers. It would have been in a coffee house something like this that Lutosławski and his partner Andrzej Panównik earned their living for almost 5 years. When the Germans occupied Warsaw, one of the things that they did was to disrupt musical life. In fact, for example, it was illegal to play Chopin during the entire course of the war. You couldn't put it on the radio, you couldn't play it live, because of course Chopin was a symbol of the Polish national character, which the occupiers wanted to destroy. The repertoire were arrangements of everything from Bach toccatas to Bizet's Carmen, to foxtrots by Cole Porter, to popular songs by George Gershwin and even Duke Ellington. It was everything. But when, in August 1944, the Polish underground launched the Warsaw Rising, a last-ditch effort to drive out the German occupation, he and his mother fled to a relative's house outside the city.
He was looking after his mother because his father had been killed by Bolsheviks. His other brother had been taken off to Siberia where he died. So he spirited her away, and there's an extremely touching document. It's a collection of little notebooks, and he and his mother together sat composing and copying out little exercises. It tells us that at a time of extreme distress, when they would hear all the explosions and at night they would see the sky lit up, that they were huddled together in a little attic, composing what might seem to be little ditties and inconsequential little canonic pieces. It gives us an insight into how there can be a complete difference between the external appearance of what a composer does and what's going on internally.
Now, 1944, when they were uprising of the Polish underground army in Warsaw, it was burnt down together with all my belongings. I just took one suitcase with my manuscripts. This paraphrase of 24th Capriccio of Paganini was made by myself without participation of my partner. So I took it with my composition, but the whole lot that we made together, yes, still remained there. And I didn't expect it to be burned down, but well, it's life. It's life.
So
yes.
surrounded by chaos, murder, mayhem, and a kind of collective insanity. The only way to preserve one's sanity is maybe to retreat into a little private world of order. And I think that is part of the key to his personality, not just at that time during the Second World War, but right through his life. It's a very long story there, but all connected by this peculiar psychological principle that as composers we try to create something special and beautiful and ordered from our private imaginary world, even though the external world says nothing of this.